All right, so these are some of the things you're going to need. Just a silicone spoon, stainless steel, that's important, stainless steel, baking soda, a Pyrex container, I got a meat thermometer, a scale, these Swedish dishcloths, a silicone bowl, oxalic acid, food grade vegetable glycerin. These are optional here. I got a fabric pad and a fabric cutter, so I can cut this shape down to that shape. So I guess that's first step. And I just slap them out. This fabric roller makes it real nice. You can probably just use scissors. Doesn't have to be exact, but we're going for just about right in half. Boom. So that is enough for one hive. We're looking for 2 pads per hive. So I already cut a bunch just from the past. Some of these are, I'm going to sitting out for a minute. They're a bit dry, but they'll absorb everything. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest for how many I'm doing. I'm cutting for 3 or 4 different people here, but I'll be right back. Okay, now that I've got all my pads cut, I'm making for a whole bunch of hives today. Safety first before we get into the oxalic acid. That's what my silicone bowl here is for. I'm just going to go ahead and fill up some water. Doesn't really matter how much or temperature or anything. I'm just going to fill it up, and this will neutralize the oxalic acid. So as that fills up, we'll grab our baking soda next. Usually just a couple tablespoons per gallon is sufficient, and you'll see once we actually dump some oxalic acid in here that it will neutralize everything pretty good, and it bubbles up quite a bit. Just kind of eyeballing it, just shaking some baking soda. It's cheap, so I'll go a little bit extra. All right, safety first. We're all good to go. Now let's dive into oxalic acid. First, let's go and zeroize our scale. So we got our Pyrex on here. Let's get some stuff out of the way. Zeroize that. And we're looking for 1 part oxalic acid to 1 part vegetable glycerin. We're shooting for about 25 grams, between 25 and 30. I like to go a little high just to make sure that we get full absorption into the sponges. We're going to go 25 grams per pad. So each one of the individual slips, 25 grams and 25 grams. So I'm going to measure that out here on my scale. Since I'm doing 16 pads, I'm going to go a little over 400 grams of this stuff here. So let's go ahead and trickle on up. So we're about 409 here. I'm going to go just a tad bit more. You can stop probably where, oh, that was a lot more. That's all right. It won't be wasted. It'll get into the sponges and just make us a little bit more potent to the mites. This stuff's pretty cool because it's the oxalic acid. It's stuff you find in spinach. It's nothing terribly exciting, but the mites don't seem to love it. So put my camera down here to get into this, and we'll start scooping stuff in. All right, I got this oxalic acid, so it's kind of like same texture as baking soda. So we'll just go ahead and scoop it all in. And we're at 465 with just the oxalic acid, so we'll go ahead and dump in until we got an additional 465 grams of this. Okay, so we're just a tad bit over 465 was our goal. I was using the spoon here with the oxalic acid, so now we'll stick it in the baking soda solution. You can kind of see it all bubbling up in there, kind of on the spoon there. It's neutralizing that acid, so I believe we're all done with this spoon. If not, we got plenty of them. So now we'll go for a silicone spatula, just so we can scrape all this into our stainless steel pot. And pour it on in there. And go ahead and get it in there and scrape it out with the spatula. A little bit more of the reaction there. We'll scoop up with this Pyrex here. I don't know if it will get too much. Oh yeah, definitely. Just neutralizing that acid. I'll clean this up a little bit better. And I'm not holding a camera. All right, so now that we got all this, we'll bring it over, slap it on the stove. I'm just gonna go medium heat, and then I'll get my spatula and we'll just start kind of mixing it in, making sure everything gets wet, and we want to dissolve all the oxalic acid into the vegetable glycerin. So we want to make sure we aren't burning it on the bottom, and we want to make sure we don't get too hot. That's why I have the thermometer. So here in a minute I'll start measuring temperature, and we want to make sure we stay below about 170 degrees. It'll start dissolving right about 110. So just keep an eye on that, and we'll jump back in when we are all dissolved. So we aren't quite there. I mean, we're only a couple minutes since I was last on here, but you can see how it's starting to mix in there. It'll be just a clear, like you can see all the way to the bottom of the pan when you're all the way done. So that's what you're looking for, but this is kind of an intermediate step here. Let's grab this fancy meat thermometer here. Sitting about 76 degrees right now, so just kind of let it go. I'll set this down on a paper towel, and then when I'm actually done with it, we'll stick it in our bowl of baking soda water. So I lost my camera, or my thermometer rather. So my thermometer, getting up right about 170, trying to let it cool off. I turned off the heat completely. You aren't necessarily looking for a temperature on this, other than we just don't want it to, we need it to get above 110, because that's about where the oxalic acid starts to dissolve. We're getting pretty clear in there. I mean, it just about looks like water. I'll let it go another minute or two just to fully sink in, but we don't want it to get cold because it'll start to crystallize again. So before it drops down below that 110 mark again, I am going to transfer it into this bag. I don't know if these bags are actually rated for the temperature we're dumping in, but I haven't had any problems yet, so we're gonna do it again today. But all 16 pads that I'm doing today, just in here. I'll dump everything in. I'll get my wife to come in and help hold the bag here in just a minute, and we'll pour it all in, kind of swish it around, but prep that before your solution here is all done. Yeah, so even just since in that couple minutes, or the couple seconds that I was over at the Ziploc, that's all looking pretty good. So give it another 30 seconds to a minute, just let it finalize, and then we'll get to it. Alright, so now I got my clear solution, and then we got the bag full of stuff here. It's extra hot, so be pretty careful. We'll just go ahead and pour it on in. You can try and move it around a little bit, but we'll swish it a bit as we go. So just kind of drip it all in there, get everything. Alright. Now, we'll seal up the bag. Gonna seal it up. And we'll try to squish some of the air out. It doesn't have to be airtight or anything, but, or rather, there can be air inside of it, but now we just kind of swish it around, and just make sure all the pads get a little bit of the juice, particularly the middle one, so peel apart in the center. If it's cooking your hands like it is for my wife, you can get a pair of tongs here. Oh, we have some somewhere. Get you a pair of rubber tongs or silicone tongs, and we just kind of work through it from the top. So it smells a little bit like a Yellowstone sulfur geyser, but I mean, I wouldn't go out of your way to inhale all this, but I guess it hasn't killed me yet. So just follow the labels on your oxalic acid pads, but looks like everything in the middle is doing pretty good. There's a little bit of dry spot there, so we're gonna want to move it around a bit, but what we're looking for is just complete saturation. We want to get every little bit into there. So I'm going to put that on the camera and work this all in. Okay, so I went back through and we got it all mixed in. Everything's nice and saturated. And as you can see here, we got about 16 pads here that are going to keep us mite free for my pads have been in for about 2 months, the last round, and they are, I mean, I'm 0% mite load. Last year I had similar success, so I'm going to throw these back in. So every month or two you probably swap them out, but when you make it like this, I've mathed it out to a little less than $3 per pad. So you're, yeah, this is all it takes. This is how you have good successful mite installation, mite treatment. This is safe for people and safe for your bees. The only thing it's not safe for is your mites. So go and throw it in there. Let's kill some Varroa mites. And like I said, we don't want to forget safety first. We got some goop in there still that didn't quite make it out, but if you just go and set it in there, you're gonna see the reaction there, just neutralizing that acid. It's safe. If you get on your fingers, just wash it off. Once this is done bubbling, I'm gonna take these out and just throw them in there. And I dip my pan here a little bit, kind of swish it around and get it nice and bubbly there. If you're worried about it, you can put more baking soda. Get as much of this as we can. Everywhere we touched with the oxalic acid, we want to neutralize it. And then obviously soap and water like you'd wash your dishes normally. And since we are, let's go ahead and neutralize my meat thermometer so my steak doesn't taste like oxalic acid, but not a whole lot on there. Then just for kicks and giggles, I like to, when I'm emptying out my baking soda bucket, I'll dump it over all of this, just try and spread the love. Alright, the last step, once it all cools off, go ahead and take your bag, crack it open, and then you put 2 strips just between your brood chambers. So I'll show you up close and personal here in a minute. I'm just going through all my hives right now and add them all in. So go ahead and just like that. And I'll put my brood box back on, and it's safe with the honey super. Like I said earlier, this stuff has about as much acid as a serving of spinach. So that's all there is to it. That's how you stay mite free.